Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome back to a new video, and welcome to my final picks for the Fantasy Football League this year. On my last video I got loads of comments, loads of helpful comments of people's opinions on my team, which have actually helped me with the changes I will be making today. The most popular comment was how horribly unbalanced my team is, because I did spend a lot more money on strikers than defenders, and I agree, and that is kind of what I go for. It's a strategy I go with. I normally do pretty well with it. I'm not saying that everyone should do it, but I have mixed it around a little bit, but yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second. The reason I don't spend loads of money on defenders, especially at the start of the Premier League, if we take a quick look at some of the fixtures in the opening game, Man U versus Leicester, I could see Leicester getting a goal there. Like, Man U defenders would be quite popular because they did keep the most clean sheets out of everyone last year, but I could see Leicester getting a goal. And I mean, Man City, very popular choice for defenders. They play Arsenal away first game of the season. So, and then when you look at games like Fulham, Crystal Palace, I could see that being 0-0. Bournemouth, Cardiff, that could be a 0-0. So at the very start of the season, it's not always easy to know what is going to happen, which is why I like to keep it cheap at the back, put my money into the forwards. And it's a bit of an all or nothing strategy, to be honest, because you're kind of hoping for a few clean sheets, and then you're hoping that your strikers rack in the points. I have already worked out what I'm going to be doing with my team today, so I won't be taking too much of your time. We're just going to quickly run through it and show you my final 11 ready for tomorrow. So yeah, first one is going to be Etheridge, the Cardiff goalkeeper. I'm going to take him out, and I'm going to be putting in the Watford goalkeeper, Foster. I already have a Cardiff defender. Don't like to double up with two defenders from the same club necessarily, unless you are back in Man City in a game they should get a clean sheet. Foster is playing his first game at home against Brighton, so I don't think that is a bad shout for a goalie at 4.5 million. My other goalkeeper is obviously Fabianski from West Ham. They're playing Liverpool away, so it will be Foster I start with. Moving on to my defence. Now, you guys won't be happy because I haven't really made many changes to my defence. I know you said I should have put more money into it, but like I said, it's not what I'm going with right now. But one change I am going to be making is Kelly from Crystal Palace doesn't look to be starting, so I am going to go ahead and put in a different Crystal Palace player. I am going with Wan-Bissaka. More of an attacking player than Kelly, looks more likely to start, and again is only 4 million. Crystal Palace start their campaign off against Fulham away. Now, Fulham have spent a lot of money, and I would not be surprised if maybe Fulham got a goal, but at the same time, Crystal Palace could keep a clean sheet there. Moving into the midfield now, there's a fair few changes here. First one is Sterling. Because of the extended break from the World Cup, he may not start. He might, but he may not, so I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to take him out. I'm also going to remove Kennedy from Newcastle. I think he's a decent choice at 5 million, but as I said in my last video, Newcastle have a very tough run of fixtures in the first 5 games, so I am going to leave him out as well. The players I'm going to replace these two with are firstly Eriksen. He did feature in pre-season, and I imagine he will be starting against Newcastle at the weekend. And with players like Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Trippier, a handful of Spurs players who won't be playing, a lot of the game is going to go through Eriksen. He's not normally my top midfielder I would select, but again, because of the fact that some players may or may not be playing, I didn't want to take that risk, and I just went for one I definitely know will play. And although I think Spurs will have a tough challenge against Newcastle, like I said, I think all of the play goes through him. So if they're going to get anything at the weekend, I imagine he would be involved. For my next midfielder now, this was a tough one, mainly because I would naturally be drawn to players like Sterling who I've already removed. De Bruyne may or may not start. Dele Alli, is he going to start? Hazard is an option there, although he may not start again. So there is a handful of players there that a lot of people will be picking, may not even feature in the opening game. So the player I decided to go with is Sanchez. Now you're probably wondering how I went from 5 million Kennedy to Sanchez. Well, I will get onto that in a moment. Like I said, De Bruyne would have definitely been in my squad, but again, not only am I not sure if he'll definitely start, but they start their campaign against Arsenal away, and there is still going to be time to make those changes, pull those people into your teams as the time goes on. And to finish off with the strikers, Aguero I'm happy with, Firmino I'm happy with, Lukaku I'm going to remove again. It's the extended World Cup break, Lukaku is not expected to start, so the striker I'm going with, and as you will have noticed, I only have 7 million to spend, so there was a few options I had here, and the one I've gone with is Mitrovic from Fulham. Fulham have made a lot of purchases in the transfer window this year, and Mitro didn't really succeed at Newcastle, mainly due to the style of play Newcastle play. But Fulham literally play with, well, it's going to be Schürrle on one wing, Sessegnon on the other, and everything goes through Mitro. They basically play with the 4-3-3, crossing the ball in, playing up to that big striker. And I think he could do very well with Fulham this year. He got, what, 12 goals in 17 or 18 games in the Championship. That was the Championship, but like I said, they're not going to change the style of play that they're going with. You might not grab as many goals as Aguero and Firmino, but I still think he's a decent choice as a striker. Other strikers for 7 million I could have gone with. Arnautovic, 7 million. They're playing Liverpool away, so I wasn't really feeling it. Zaha is actually playing against Fulham, so he was another option there. Perez at Newcastle, we have a very tough start of fixtures. So yeah, I went with Mitro. I'm pretty happy with it. Another striker at 7 million is Rashford. Now, I actually think that's a really good shout for this weekend, well, tomorrow night when Man U play Leicester, because Rashford looks to start. However, we don't know when Lukaku is coming back. It could very easily be next week. He could be on the bench tomorrow and come on later in the game. And if that's the case, when Lukaku does come back, Rashford looks to get sidelined as soon as he is back. And although I could make the sub for him, I think I'd rather use the transfer somewhere else on the pitch. And as for wildcard this year, normally wildcards do get used pretty early, maybe in the 3rd week if your team isn't quite doing what you'd hoped, some of the players aren't starting like you hoped. I literally think they could be getting used next weekend or the weekend after, when all of these players like Kane, De Bruyne, Sterling, Lukaku all return. People are going to want to throw them in their team as soon as possible. So although that is the team I've pretty much set up for game week 1. And I'll see what happens in the weekend to decide what to do the weekend after. And that is the 11 I have gone with. I know you guys don't like my defenders because I've not spent enough money on them, but none of my defenders or goalkeeper are playing any of the top 6 sides. So very easily grab a clean sheet with any of those players. And like I said, even the top teams, you can't guarantee clean sheets. Just as I can't guarantee that all that money spent on midfielders and strikers will actually pay off. But that is the risk I've taken. And again, like I've said, when all of these players do return from their extended summers, the wild card's going to come out pretty soon. And after today's game, Man City play Arsenal, and then they have a very decent run of games. Then I'll be looking to potentially spend the money on a Man City defender to stick into that team. If I was going to change anyone in that team right now, the one I had the biggest question mark over was Sanchez, potentially swapping him out with Hazard. But again, I want to make sure my team is definitely playing. And that could come back to bite me if Hazard goes and scores a hat-trick. But at this point, I just don't know. If I did move Sanchez out for Hazard, be tempted to maybe put Rashford in instead of Mitro, but I'm sticking with it. I'm happy. If I think about it forever, my mind will explode. But yeah, that is it, guys. So I hope you have enjoyed the video. And yeah, if you haven't joined my league yet, make sure you guys jump in. Like I said, it starts tomorrow night, and I can't wait for the Premier League to kick off. And I cannot wait to see all the videos coming out in a week or two's time of everyone wildcarding it to get all those players coming back into their teams. But yeah, thank you for watching. Drop a like if you've enjoyed the fantasy football videos and you want to see them keep coming. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.